Hi, and welcome to the Ada K Show. I am Ada K. Brown, and am currently a criminal justice major, and I'm a deaf courtroom commentator. Grab a cup of Java, and let's dive in. Hello and good evening. Good Saturday evening to everyone. Welcome. I'm Ada K. This is going to be a different kind of live than we're used to. So hold on to your seat and get ready because it's not going to be our normal live. Hey, Gretchen, Penny, Candace, Yana, Dawn, Haley, Mouse, June. Oh, guys, thank you so much. I didn't do that. I wasn't sure if this was going to be alive to do that, but I guess I can. I can do that. Done. And it's got y'all. You've already liked it's got you in there. Hello. Puppies and pizza. Oh, that sounds so good right now. I haven't really eaten. I've snacked, but I haven't eaten. You're currently at the hospital. They're inducing my youngest. Oh, congratulations on the grandbaby. Oh my gosh, congratulations. Pray blessings and safety and smooth delivery. Oh. Well, you go and be with that baby. You go be with your daughter. Thank you for hopping in. I'm going to be talking about something that's very difficult. I've alluded to things, and tonight is going to be a bare my soul night. I'm going to give you some stats and facts, but I'm also going to give you my personal experiences. Hi, Kathy. I'm going to be giving you very raw. I might as well put the warning up. It's going to be graphic. Some of it might be a little difficult content for some of you to take. So I'm putting that up. I'm giving a warning. If you are triggered in any way, you need to step away. I'm okay. Yes, they're all in the house. Tomorrow is Super Bowl. And for me, it is a bad anniversary. As you can see down here, rolling on the ticker, National Human Trafficking Hotline website. Thank you very much for putting that up, Yana. That's what this topic is going to be about. And I don't know if I'm going to get in YT jail or not, but we'll see. We shall see. If I do, I do. Yes, there will be a content warning. Tomorrow at 5:30, the Super Bowl will start. Millions upon millions of people will be at the game or on the TV, and I have watched the Super Bowl, and some years it bothers me a lot, and some years I'm fine. But it's a hard topic. It's a very dark topic, but Super Bowl and all large sporting events, but a lot of people don't realize Super Bowl. Some say it brings about more trafficking than others. I've been doing some research, and I'm not going to put it up on screen because I don't want to get copyright. So I'm going to read some of this to you. For the past few years, they have realized that articles explaining the link between the large sporting events in the U.S. and human trafficking. But does the Super Bowl actually increase human trafficking in the host city? The true answer is it's hard to say. A lot of people will sit there and tell you that, yes, it does. Others will say, no, it doesn't, but it does. Unfortunately, human trafficking is an issue in every country, in every region, including the United States. It happens every day, and millions are trapped in the dark reality of exploitation and abuse. However, in recent years, the awareness of these issues has increased. I will tell you, just a few years ago, I couldn't talk about this. I if I would tell somebody I'm a survivor, they would run or walk away and go, "Oh my gosh, we can't talk about this." They don't wanna hear it. There is becoming a it and I don't say this to be mean or cruel, but there comes in cycles what is acceptable in society and what is not. And right now, human trafficking is a very honorable thing to be in ministry now. It's highly supported. There's a lot of people trying to educate, and that's fabulous until someone like me comes along and I stand in front of you and tell you I'm a survivor. Super Bowl Sunday was my day that I was pulled into human trafficking, sex trafficking, ST from here on out because I don't want to get in trouble. But ST, I had a guy that I was dating for about 3, 4 months, 5 months maybe, and we decided that we were getting to the place in our relationship that I wanted to start meeting his friends. We started wanting to commingle people, and I was with a group of women that I sang in Sweden. Sang a group I sang with. They didn't have any clue what was going on, and I said, "Hey, why don't we invite your friends over for a party?" I have a big apartment. I had a two-bedroom, 1,200 square foot apartment. It was a huge living room. It was a perfect layout for a Super Bowl party. And I said, "Hey, why don't you guys come over to my house for Super Bowl?" Well, everything was normal and fine. There was 4 men and 1 other woman, including my significant other. And she said, "Go lay down." Saw that tail wagging behind me. Kinda freaked me out for a second. And I had a bathroom. I had a like, this is the living room, right? And then there was a kitchen that came off here, the bedroom was here, living room, but then there's a hallway that split the 2 bedrooms, so it was very short. You go to the left, it was the guest room, you go to the right was my bedroom with a private bath, but right in front of you was a public bath. So one of the guys went and used the restroom in that bathroom, and hold on, something's miserably falling. Anyway, and I was asked, I said, "Sure, go ahead." Well, one the girls said, "Taking forever." I said, "Well, why don't you come up to my bathroom?" And so, "Okay," she said. Well, my mouse just died. And I took her into my bathroom, and no sooner did I take her into my bathroom, I was attacked from behind. And when I was attacked from behind, basically, from that moment on, I was theirs. I won't go into details as to the severity of the attack, but you can just, um, imagine it on your own. And I was pretty much handcuffed to the bed every night, and I was not allowed to leave my home. Long story short, I ended up for over a year being forced with the penalties of beating, death of my loved ones, death of my friend, being found out, being called a whore, whatever you wanted to call it. And he was so good that he knew he was the guy I was dating was the owner. And I was a part of the singing group, and he knew my family because when we were dating, it's called the Romeo effect, by the way. I'll go into that in a little bit. When we were dating, he, knew my family lived out of town and all this kinda stuff. So, I was an easy target, but he knew I was a part of a group of people that I met once a month with, so I had to live my life that year as if everything was normal, and he'd sit out in the parking lot in the car and, um, grill me every time I got back in that car. And he told me he would unalive everybody in that place if he even thought I told somebody. People had no idea. You are I mean, I disappeared for 2.5, 3 weeks, and I just told him I was sick or working. But, um, it got to the point that I was fully entrapped. There's no way I thought I had a way I thought I didn't have a way out anymore. It got to the point that there were injuries that were never treated at a hospital. He had a friend who was a physician who would come in and treat you right there in your own bed. Um, this doctor would do forced abortions. This doctor would put hips back in place. This doctor would, suture you up, with very little or no anesthetic. Um, it was brutal. And not just me, but all the girls. He had a woman who was an older woman, she was in her 70s, that he pulled off the streets with the promise of a safe place to sleep and, cleaning houses, and she was what they called the house mom, and it was her job to take care of the girls. So they commandeered my apartment because it was big enough for them to use the second bedroom like an office and ran all the phone calls out of there, and that was one of their niches, is they would move every so many 6 months, 8 months, every year, they would move and commandeer people's apartments and homes like they did with me to make it harder to find them. Question for the end, what would you do differently if you were in a situation like that again? Yeah, I'll have to think about that. My parents were very religious people. I was raised in a church that didn't believe in sex before marriage, didn't believe in, I didn't go to prom, I didn't go to dances, I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. And I was permitted at a younger age to be with somebody who was older than me because they were a part of the church. Um, I was already pre-groomed, basically. There's a whole lot to my story. This is just a sliver, but that's a hard one. So I'll star that, and then I'll look at that at the end. The problem with the Super Bowl is that the numbers that you see in the research, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it doesn't increase the numbers. It doesn't do this, it doesn't do that." Myth number 1 was, does ST significantly increase during the Super Bowl? No. It says the research has found there's neither a correlative or causal relationship between the Super Bowl and ST. Dude, I beg to differ. I was pulled in to ST during a Super Bowl, and the following Super Bowl, this girl worked unwillingly, but worked. And I saw the numerous, unbelievable amount of requests for girls and unbelievable amount of money that was being spent. Myth number 2, it isn't better to prepare for the increase of ST during Super Bowl just in case. Uh, Part of the problem is this, and I'm in college in criminal justice now, and part of the problem is this. When you do research, it is only as good as the people who answer the questions. I am technically, so I'm told, technically 0.001% of survivors. I am was This is what I looked like when I was pulled in. Mind you, I was 27 years old, but with no makeup on, I looked like I was 18, 17. I looked young. I was barely 105, 110 pounds. This was me the year I was pulled in when I was fully made up, fully full makeup, glam. I had that mole removed, still the scar, but had to have it off. So the other myth is it's young people, and that's not true. It's all ages, all body, all sizes, all shapes, all color, all everything. Nobody, not one person is immune from this. They will take older women off the streets because men have those kind of desires to have old women, big women, disabled people, you name it. If you are vulnerable and they can get you, they will come and they can and they will get you. The big thing for me is I really my poor daughter, I was so strict with her, but I still worry about her because she's in college, she's not immune to this. Um, yeah, definitely content warning. Let me put that back up. I don't like that one. I like that one better. So I was stuck in this situation for over a year. I came down with cancer during that time, and I still had to do some kind of work. I'll go into that another time. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what your health is. If they think they can make money on you, they're going to make money on you. That plain and simple. The people that do this or desire or pay for this are someone who is dirt poor and can't get anything, so they save up the pennies and pay for a girl to disable people pay for girls or men. Um, but a lot of these people were your standard working class people up to police, um, your entertainers, their entourage, judges, senators, um, House of Representative people, you name it, they were paying for girls and women. There were royalty, excuse me, from across the world that would come in and pay for people. So how does all this tie into the Super Bowl? I don't believe in their numbers because I lived it. Where I lived, sometimes we had basketball championships, the Final Four, all of those kinds of things. I lived in a bigger city, in a big city. Every time you had a sporting event come in, especially the big ones, you were worked like a dog 3 to 4 days before and up to 2 days after. H? What am I missing, y'all? I don't know who H is. But it is horrendous. Yeah. Big sporting events mean parties, monies, yes. Well, and the thing is these men will spend, do you know, I Googled right now, If you wanna get a seat for the Super Bowl, the seats that were $15,000 2 days ago are now almost $30,000 today, and I'm like, if they're gonna spend that kind of money, they're gonna get a hotel room, and they're gonna be with their buds, they're gonna be drinking and partying, and they're gonna have girls. You cannot sit there and tell me, "Oh, sorry." You cannot sit there and tell me that that doesn't happen. It doesn't increase. It does. The problem is that you don't have the numbers to prove it. Yes, they do set up okay, just so you know, when you're at a sporting event like that, let's just say a basketball game, an NFL league, and you're in an Astrodome type, you're in a big dome, there's always a section of one of the higher floors that have a curtains and is or it's down in the basement in other rooms and private areas that they bring people that they're catching because there are pimps and there are workers, willing and not willing, that are at those events. And they know how to do the hookup. And now with technology, it's just a text to someone and they give you a seat number and you go sit in that seat and somebody will come and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's my seat." And then you get up and leave with them. And then you go yeah. So it is so preposterous to me that they think that these sporting events do not perpetuate the ST industry. It does. Now, for me, I was very lucky in only one way. I was super clean. I had no tattoos. I had good teeth. I was a pretty white Irish girl with red hair and green eyes. And the owner liked me. I was his jewel. And so, in some ways, I was better taken care of. In other ways, I was abused more. The big thing was is when you come the men that came in for these events, they want the high-end girl, and they would ask for the full night price would be, I was that girl. Because I could walk into Trump Towers and you would never know. I you would never know. I looked like a high-class business woman. I didn't look like someone who was drug off the streets and put in fancy clothes. It was in some ways easier, but in a lot of ways harder for me. So, these events, a lot of times what happens the night before, they call for a lot of girls. But the night of, like tomorrow night when everybody's drunk, if you lost, you wanted to do something to have a happy ending to your week. If you won, you wanna celebrate and you don't have anybody to celebrate with. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So, they will be getting a hold of these agencies, and they will be getting these girls, and those girls are gonna be going up there, and a lot of these people who are rich who pay $85,000,000 for a suite no, it's not 85, I think it's 8 to 5 to 8,000,000, some of them right now, the suites that are I think some of them started off at $850,000. Now they're between 5 and 8,000,000, but they probably I don't know how many millions and millions they make. I figured at $10,000 a seat average, if there was 3,000 seats in the dome, you were looking at buku million bucks. 30 was it 30,000,000? I'm bad at math. But the thing is that these men, a lot of times when they go to these events, they wanna go with their friends, they get a hotel suite. Then what they do is they call the agencies and say, "Hey, we want 5 to 10 girls," or whatever, and they send all the girls up there, and then the people that are there will sit there and take the girl that they like and do what they want to them. The girls that don't get picked are lucky. They get to sit there. And with the SB being in yes, Mardi Gras is a horrible time, horrible time. And don't be fooled. Just because you live in Texas doesn't mean that you don't get flown with your John, Jack, whatever you want to call him, John Juan, over to these events. Most of the girls that are going to be at the event in New Orleans are not from New Orleans. They're brought in from all over the state and sometimes the world. Oh yeah, boys clubs are bad too. But here's the thing. There are women who choose to do this, knowing my dog's getting water. Sorry. You hear her drinking. There are women who choose to do this, go in willingly, thinking they're going to make a lot of money and be able to walk out. And the thing is, you can't walk out. There's no walking out. You have to either earn your way out or run like hell and pray that you don't get caught. Mardi Gras is crazy from when I was there 25 years ago. Oh yeah. Please, you guys, I'm 105 people away from my 3,000 subscriptions. I know there's not a lot of people watching this right now, but I was hoping y'all would share it and we can get this out there. So during my time being held in that situation, nobody knew because I knew this guy had killed. I knew his friends killed. I know. And I knew he was not joking. Yes, please join me on Discord. I think the hardest thing for me was I became a robot. And this is exactly what they do to you. You are beat, drugged, X'd into submission. I could be standing in front of a police officer in public and wouldn't be able to tell them what was happening. The fear was so rooted, so deep, so real that you just give in to this is my reality right now. It gets to the point that you have no feelings, you have no emotions, you have nothing anymore. And it gets to the point that you lose all hope. And when you lose hope, there's nothing left. I got to that point. And I'll tell you how I got out of it in a little bit. But when it comes to these big sporting events, I don't give a crap what these surveys say. I lived it. I lived it. I cringe at the thought of when I was back in that situation of a sporting event. I mean, yes, when conferences come into town, yes, the call girls, as they called them, um, loved it. The ones who were willingly into the business, the ones who wanted to be in that business loved it because, man, there was always good money when conferences come in. Men are away from their wives. They did whatever, no one would ever know what they had done. I mean, it was and I got to tell you, lawyers, um, police, all these kind of conferences. A lot of those guys would be in a different town, different state from their jurisdiction, and they let it all hang out, and they were the more brutal ones because they could get away with it, and so it is brutal, and I have rheumatoid arthritis in my hips, and in my knees and my shoulders. I've had 3 shoulder surgeries on my left shoulder. I need one on the right. I need my knees replaced and both hips replaced, all stemming from the injuries and the things that I went through. I gotta do it. They're tickling me. It tickles. Thank you. Everything I went through during that point in my life, it all leads back to that. All leads back to that. Well, and that's the truth. Sad part of even is when they make arrests and hits, they don't make the I think if you are arrested for soliciting or you are arrested, trying to receive or pimping that your face needs to be put on a public website. That's my feeling. People I felt bad for the wives. I really did. It got to the point that I was so grieved that the guy was doing this to me, and because I was the one they were with, I felt like I betrayed women. That's what was put in my brain. I mean, things that you were told and the things that were drilled into you is I look back at it now and I'm thinking, "This isn't rational." I look at my thought process back then and I'm going, "That's not rational. That wasn't right." I don't know why I believed it, but again, I was very young, very impressionable, and, you know, I look in those stands and I wonder how many of those girls are there against their will. It is brainwashing. Um I wanna give you some more information, then we'll go back to my story. Well, like I said, while the Super Bowl is one of the most glamorous and beloved games, it is a very dangerous game in the works of the championship and other sporting events. There are tattoo artists that go to the Super Bowl again this year, but like last year, they won't see much action. A lot of people love to get tattoos, especially when their team wins. Um, to memorialize that weekend. Um, One thing that they do, and this is true, I'm gonna call the PIS, the Ps and the Ts and the gangs who, move people against their will force them before they leave that town. Now this is true. Now, luckily, I didn't have this done to me, and if I did, I'd have it cut out. They are forced to be branded with a tattoo. And a lot of times, a lot of the tattoo shops will remove those brands, cover them up for free. But it's called branding and it is a sign of possession. They will put their name, their symbol, something like that on a girl. And once that happens, you're theirs. Now, sometimes it's behind the ear. A lot of times it's at the hairline and the back of the neck, sometimes on the inside of the wrist. Now, a lot of, tattoo artists are doing cover-ups, put something positive in place of negative, but this is a thing that happens every day of the year, every hour of the year. I didn't get branded. I have been drugged. I have been stabbed. I have had hips dislocate, shoulders dislocate, jaw dislocate, more black eyes and bruises and you can imagine, and I won't get graphic, but let's just say that the thought of sitting down 5 days after an event like this was still very scary. Giving birth and having that pain would have been a welcome compared to what we survived. The sad thing is that the traffickers, oh, I shouldn't have said that, but oh well. They always have a leg up than the police. The reason why is as technology changes, and this is something I found was interesting because in my class that I took last semester in criminal justice and criminal law, um, we talked about, I had to write a paper about technology and the effects on uh, trans and international crime. Technology in one way is very good. The old way back in the day when I was in this, it was really hard for them to track down the, companies, the traffickers companies. Um, on the internet because they didn't have the technology to track it as they do now. The other thing is phone books. They would, get a phone number and play on names like, the candy jar, the cookie jar, things that sound like bakeries, things that and I was shocked to find out that in the phone books, they actually had under escort services a list of escort services. It was an actual part of the phone book. It said escort services and it listed all the escort services. And I was like, "What?" I was shocked. Back then, things are a lot different from now. In the sense, like I said, of their technology, because now, in order for hookups to happen, it can be something as simple as a emoji in a text, and that's all it needs to be with an address or something like that. I mean, it is so hard to trace those. Back then, you could wiretap the phones of the people who you were looking into. It was a lot more, one-on-one, referral one-on-one. So, I don't know how to explain it. Today, it just seems a whole lot more accessible in some ways, and a lot harder to track and find and prosecute. The thing that really is bad is that they will make a lot of arrests tonight and tomorrow. They will. They'll make a lot of arrests. And I am not racist in any way, but if you are of any race other than a white girl or boy, I can only speak for me, you could be seen as a victim of ST. You can claim, "I'm here against my will, he kidnapped me, yada, 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 yada." And they will separate you from what they call the working girls. I know, guys, I'm always forever messing with them. They will separate I need to get them cut, is a problem. They will separate you from the working girls. If you were white, you are automatically a working girl. No matter what you said, you were arrested, taken down as a working girl, prosecuted as a working girl, and I knew a lot of girls that were caught and screamed and tried to get them to listen to them and say, "Look, they brought me from Arizona." They didn't believe them. They didn't. They didn't wanna believe. But if you were of another race and your skin is of color, and you said, "They brought me from Louisiana over to Las Vegas," and even though you're willingly doing this, you choose to do this. All you had to say is, I was ST'd and that's it. You were treated as such. So I really find it sad that, that's the way it was back then. I will say today it's gotten better. There's more education. Well, people don't realize the stats on ST. Oh, I accidentally deleted them. The stats. And by 2025, what does this say? Per 100,000 cases, 400,000 cases in Texas, 343,000 in California, Florida, 326, Louisiana, 220,000. It is huge. Mississippi right now is the highest rated state. Second is New Mexico. Nevada, Missouri, Nebraska, then California, then Oregon, then Florida, then Texas, then Arkansas, Georgia, Washington, and it goes on from there down. I mean, the least trafficked is Rhode Island, and New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. It is so easy to traffic these days. It really is. The one thing that I remember was when I saw for the first time girls being loaded up into the back of an 18-wheeler. Now, that was a whole lot easier back then than it is now. They were hooked up to IVs. They were taken to the very furthest front of the, cargo trailer in these makeshift bunk beds that were only maybe a foot and a half to 2 feet apart so they could get as many in as possible. They were drugged and put IVs to keep them hydrated and drugged for the journey. And I saw a guy on top of the rig, putting holes into the rig on an angle, so as the 18-wheeler pulled the trailer, the air would come in, so the top of the trailer looked like a cheese grater. So that air would come in, but when you are looking at it from the outside on the ground level, you don't see anything. Thank God I didn't have to go through that. But there's so many girls that do, and they are taking them to New Orleans. They're there now. They are there a week before any major event happens because they wanna make sure they're good enough to go out there and provide services. Hello, Christy. Hello, Dawn, Yana. I've got a lot of people in here. Hello, Gretchen. I don't wanna miss anybody, but if I do, forgive me. Those events, I don't care what somebody who's never been through it statistics say, because their statistics are only as good as the people you poll and the honesty that they give. If you were to put a piece of paper in front of me and ask me to fill it out about crime in my neighborhood or my experience to crime, and I sit there and I say, "Hey, have you had any exposure to ST?" I would say no. Because I don't wanna open myself up. Now, understand that I finally got free and the guy went to jail, but until he dies, I'm always at risk. He can always try to come find me. When I was rescued, and it was not like you see on the movies, I've been asking family for school pictures. Why? Huh? Okay, I'm not following. I'm sorry. This is a little more focused than I normally am. Cat? Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what just fell. Think the cat wants out, and I can't get up right now. So the thing is that people don't understand is calling I can do this way, is that these girls are moved into that area days or weeks in advance. Hold on. So they are trafficked, moved across state lines from all over the United States. If anybody there, if they have a lot of these are very organized crime organizations, and so a lot of times they will know the number of girls they will need, so they for the Super Bowl time, so they will sit there and they will start finding girls, grooming girls, training girls, forcing girls, whatever, months in advance. It usually starts probably school time, August, September, because they need to have X number of women ready to go. Sorry, I had to get my son's attention. They gotta have everything ready to go because you don't understand how much money they make. What nor thank you very much. Let the cat out. She's fighting to get out. Thank you. You have a girl that is worth 5,000 for an entire night. That would be a good girl. That would be anything you wanna do, I don't care what you do as long as she's alive back in my day. Girl. At an event like this, that's 30,000 or more. I don't know. I'm estimating on the numbers. I'm not in that world anymore, but it is exponentially more than what it be for Friday night on a regular Friday, Saturday night. People don't understand that those people who are spending 8 and 6, 8, 10, 20, 15, 30,000, 100,000 for suites on tickets are gonna spend a whole lot of money for other entertainment. And the sad thing is a lot of them are coming from the players. The basketball, oh my gosh, they're worse than football. Yes, I've known some of the world's most famous basketball players. There's a lot of good ones out there, but there's some of them out there that you would go, "What?" It's insane. Mardi Gras is another big and everything going like this right now in New Orleans, so it's gonna be actually easier to cover it up because you got Mardi Gras. Everything goes in Mardi Gras. Y'all are allowed to ask me questions. I may or might answer them depending on what they are, but you can ask. So somebody asked me a question, and it may help me gear this a little bit because this was a last minute plan thing. Um, the question for the end, what would you differently if you were in a situation like that again? Um, when it first happened, I was handcuffed to a bed or handcuffed to a person 24/7 because that's when you try to flee, that's when you try to get out. Your mind is still clear and healthy. You're your physical strongest you are, and so, and the other thing is they put stuff in my drinks or food that helped kept me drugged, so I wasn't as clear-minded. But I think I would have ran, uh, at the, some missed opportunities, looking back, but understand that the risk of them catching you running, if I ran and I got caught by the traffickers' dogs, as I called them, then I would probably not be here today, or the people I love would not be here today. Because let me tell you, they knew exactly where my family lived, my best friends lived. They knew what my life was like while the guy was dating me. They were following everything I did. Um, so yeah, I think I would have told someone that I trusted in my singing group. I would have told them. That's what I would have done differently. But I was so fearful and I believed what they said was true that I was terrified to risk somebody getting hurt. Yeah, that's a double whammy. That is a double whammy. Um, the other thing is with Mardi Gras is there's a lot of satanic ritual abuse. Um, there are people who are in CULS that, will, believe it or not, hire for a girl, or man, doesn't matter of age, to abuse and do satanic ritual abuse on. And then when they're done, they give her back in very bad condition, pay heavily for it. Um, but like I said, y'all can ask questions. I and the funny thing is it got to the point that I didn't trust the authorities because the authorities had people, well, people who were of authority were also some of the perpetrators. And they are in that department. So say I was to try to get out and I told an officer or someone of authority, "This is what's happening," um, the person another person who works there who uses that group, that business specifically is going to say, "Oh, no, she's making it up. She's hooker," or whatever. So I didn't trust that the agency in and of itself could help me because there was a lot of crooked people in that agency. I was in Vancouver, BC, and a shipkeeper told me to keep my hands on my daughter. Yes. Yeah. Yes. People didn't understand when I was shopping at Walmart or wherever I could be in the mall, doesn't matter where I was shopping. My kids had to have their hands on the cart and in front of me, or they had to be holding on to my purse, my coattails, if I wasn't holding on to their hand. If I coulda had a leash on them and people not think I was crazy, I would've. But the sad thing is that I was an adult. And here's the horrible thing. There's gonna be a lot of girls a month or so in advance that are gonna go missing. And the Romeo effect, and let me explain what the Romeo effect is. The Romeo effect is when a man, and by the way, they pay high school boys to do this. When a teenager or a man target a girl who has got low self-esteem, who's being bullied, someone that they think that they can manipulate. So it's kinda like, "Oh my gosh, you're so handsome, and I'm so ugly. Why do you like me?" And it's like, "But he likes me." So they will befriend a girl, they will date the girl for a short period of time. Then they'll say, "Hey, Friday or Saturday, we got a party to go to. You wanna come?" "Yeah, I wanna go." So they go to this house, and then on the ground floor, there's a bunch of people there that she doesn't know, but it looks like a party, and she mingles, she has something to eat, they give her a drink, and all of a sudden, it's the DR drug. And then they get her upstairs, the boy leaves, they lock her in a room, they handcuff her, they beat her, they S her, they R her, they do everything they can to her to tear her down and inform her this is her life. The boy is already out of the house. He's been given thousands of dollars, usually it's a couple grand, and now he's gonna go find another girl. And this is how that goes. This is called the Romeo. Yes, protect your mental health. I'm protecting mine. Believe it or not, I have somebody I can call if I when I get off of this live if I need to talk. But understand, you got to teach your daughters. Don't go to a party with a boy where you don't know the people there, including the host. Always, always have your phone tracking on, but now the first thing they do is they turn that off. They put your phone in airplane mode so you can't be found. I gotta turn the fan on, sorry. The other thing is have an Apple tracker, have some kind of tracker on you sewn into something that you're wearing, even the padding of your bra, something. That way, if you don't come home, they at least have a ping of somewhere where you were. I hate to live in this constant state of fear, but people are naive. Everybody is naive. We walk around this world today, we know it's horrible, we know it's bad, we know it's happening, but we are naive. The trackers, if I had one of those, when my daughter was young, boy, she wouldn't know it, and it would be on her. It would be sewn into her backpack or whatever. I would have it somewhere. When someone said their rights for privacy, I don't care. Until they're 18, she's my right. Hello, 80s music, ma'am. And when you go to these sporting events as a woman with friends, you can get pulled in there. They Oh, they pull people in all the time, and women are in on it. Don't be fooled by women. Women will be in the women's bathroom, and they will look for an easy target, and they will get you. They'll offer you a piece of gum or something like that, and you take it. They'll follow you until you get woozy and you're gone. People have no idea, and some people males are trafficked too. Yes, you're right. I protected my son the same, but I'm talking from my experience. But men are. You are so right. Nowadays, definitely are. And if you are a person of transgendered, if you are a man who is got the upper of a woman and the bottom of the man, it's called a she male. Oh my gosh, you are highly prized. You are a you are also a high risk. Until the school calls you and asks about the air tag, and I don't give a damn. Yes, it's my pet. I paid for that backpack. That's my child. I have a right to have it in there in case it's lost or stolen. Okay, that didn't happen until after all this. At that time, I was a hearing person. I didn't start going deaf until my 30s. Well, I had my first hearing aid in my 30s, but the majority of my deafness was lost in my 40s. So 40s through 50, early 50s. It's been about a year, but I don't know. It's been about a year where I'm at right now that it hasn't changed. Yeah, I know, right? So with the Super Bowl and these big sporting events, people don't understand. You don't know that as a woman or man, but more often than a woman, you go to a bathroom and there's lines of women and that bathroom is full. There's a chance there's one of those people in there may be a victim. If you go to a sporting event like that with your boyfriend, you don't leave your boyfriend and you better know your boyfriend. I'm not kidding. I I have gone to basketball games with a guy and I told him, "You don't if I'm not out of here in 10 minutes, you come looking," because a lot of times they have 2 entrances. Better be safe and sorry. Yeah. The thing is they're not gonna get you where people will see you. But at the sporting events, they have areas in the arenas where they arrest people, the working girls and the men, the Ps, and do arrest them. I mean, they are doing what they can. I'm not saying the city police department and all of the legal authorities are not doing everything they can to protect and to put it into the STs. They are, but it is so bad. It is like peeing in a river. You cannot separate it. It is just rampant. That is why when my husband and I go to sporting events and either one of us go into the restroom, we will find the family bathroom for safety. This is a good idea. If they have a family bathroom, do use that for safety. Exactly. But I thought, when I was abducted into the trafficking world and forced to do what I was forced to live through, thought at that age it couldn't happen to me. That is one thing I would also change because somebody asked me what would I change. That is something I would change. I would change my way of thinking. I got complacent. I didn't have my feelers up, as I say. Um, I didn't see the red flags. I wasn't looking for the red flags because I was dating this guy for a few months. I didn't know that he was the owner of the business. He told me he was in construction. I mean, he always had money, but he was in construction and he said he got paid weekly. I'm like, okay. I was young, dumb, and naive. There were several times I should have died. These girls go through forced abortions and then turn around the day after they abort, force her to work 4, 5, 6 men a night. This is not something that just it's not glamorous. You don't even get time to clean up. The house mom may come in and do something if you need it, but they don't always have house moms. And so it is so horrible. And on my members only live, I may talk a little more in depth about this, but all I can say is I survived. I survived, and I can't give all the details of how I survived on a live like this because if they are still employing how they did it with me, which I thought was creative as hell, I don't want to give that out there. But all I can say was one night, one of the clients happened to be a good cop of a 3-letter word agency who was doing a sting, and they were going to arrest me for prostitution. All I had to do was show him my wrist. I lifted up the dust ruffle on my bed where he saw the handcuffs and he saw the potty pot. Yeah, I had a bathroom 8, 10 feet away, but in the middle of the night, I was handcuffed. I had to go in a pot like they did 100 years ago. And all I can say is he believed, well, he sort of believed me. And then I told him, this is my apartment. You have permission to do whatever you need to do. We're not here and you want to put cameras up, put them up. You want to tap my phone line? Here's my phone number. Tap it. I said, anything and everything you want to do, just get me the hell out of here. And he said, well, if you're telling me the truth, I'm not going to get you out right now because if I take you out right now, I don't have enough information to really bring down a solid case. Can you hold on a little while longer? A part of me was screaming, no, take me now. But the person that I am also cared about the other women that I was forced to live with or forced to live with me. It was my home. I cared about them and their safety and their lives. And I chose to hang on a month and a half longer until one day the signal was there. I saw it. I did what I was told to do. He came back several times as a client. Um, by the way, cops can get totally unclothed and they just can't do the physical act. So they can get undressed. The old saying was if they got naked, they weren't going to arrest you. That's not true. That's not true. And so the last time he came, he told me there would be a certain thing to look for on the outside of my apartment. And one day I came in with the John and we were coming back from a job and I saw the sign. I saw it and I did what I was told to do. And then within a certain period of time, they stormed the apartment. I was arrested like everybody else, separated like everybody else. But the moment they got me in a car away from everybody else, they took the handcuffs off. And there was a female cop in the car, and she just held me while I sobbed. Didn't say anything. I just cried, covered me with a blanket. Her shirt was soaked, I'm sure. But, yes, it's very emotional. What made me decide to trust the guy? Um, I would say the check in my spirit. I'm a Christian. I believe in God and I believe in the anointing of the Holy Spirit. And I felt it right here. I felt it in my knower, in my thinker. And I figured it was one of those split-second decisions. You don't think, you just do, and I think had I not, I would be dead. I would have been arrested. I would have been bought out by the and here's the thing, those who are organized have lawyers on the take. They told me, "If you ever get arrested, you just stay there, keep your mouth shut. We'll have an attorney come down and get you out." But they bring you back in. They beat the hell out of you. The lawyer gets to have fun with you, by the way, before, during, and after the said situation. The lawyers get freebies. They represent the companies to get the girls out, and they get freebies just like the doctors. They didn't take you to the hospital. They took care of you right there and with very little care. They never knew. They lived across the state. Texas is huge. I never told them because of other reasons that I won't share here. And if they ever watch this, they'll call me a liar. They'll say, "Well, you would have told us. We came and visited you once in that year." And he was in the apartment next door because that person moved out and they rented it. So we had two apartments literally like this, and we had a door, and it was right back and forth. I mean, those two apartments were the hub for this escort service. And when my parents came and visited me once during that time frame, my house and everything looked normal, but they were next door and they had bugs in the house. So they knew what was going on. And they made it very clear that they would unalive me and them if I said anything. And I believed them. At that point, I was so brainwashed. I believed them. So my parents never knew. My father's deceased. My mother, I don't know if she'll ever see this. Um, Welcome, Melissa. There's a lot of you who may be new here. I'm Ada Kay. I normally cover court things, but I am a survivor of ST. This year, Super Bowl is when I was inducted into ST, kidnapped into ST, whatever you want to call it. And I always live with the dread of this game. And I always live with, and it's secret. People don't even realize it in my life, my spiritual family, my kids. I mean, it's like Super Bowl, woohoo, come and gone. Okay. They don't understand the hell I live because I remember everything that happened to me, and I'm taking control of this memory this year. Yes. Yes. Yes, please like the video and comment I like, because right now we are sitting at, and big thing is subscribe. I'm almost at 3,000. We're sitting at 18 likes. We also have a Discord. You're welcome to join us. I think we're a fun channel. The thing is, God moves in mysterious ways. And if you don't believe in God, that's fine. I am now an emergency service chaplain. I have volunteered with a ministry who works with women who are exploited. I don't call it traffic. They did. There's a difference. And let me explain the difference. Trafficking is when I see it is when you are in it against your will. You didn't choose to go into it. You are forced to do something, and you are forced to move and do against your will. Exploited is when, like, you are going into, like, dancing in a gentleman's club, and you get into that world, and all of a sudden you didn't realize the manager at that club owned you, and you can't get out of it because they make it clear by beatings or whatever that you are his. Girls who choose to go into escort services basically they're pimped, okay? They're owned. That's exploitation, in my eyes. You went in as one thing, but it turns out to be another. Now, trafficking can happen to those girls when they are no longer free to go back into normal society, and they can be forced to be flown, dropped, driven, often other states. They're removed from their world and their society, and they are no longer free to be free. They're not free in any way, shape, or form. So exploitation can become trafficking, but not all trafficking is exploitation, or not all exploitation is trafficking. So it's kind of hard to explain that, but my heart breaks for all these people right now. People pay out. Yes, El Paso. Okay, let me explain something. A lot of people say in Texas, Houston is the most trafficked area. I disagree. It is equal to San Antonio area, but let's talk logistically. You have the Port of Houston, and you've got highways that run east and west and north and south. So when you have a city like San Antonio, who you have I-10 running east and west, you have 281, I-35 running north and south, you have I-90 that are looping around. It is easy to move women or victims. I'm going to say victims. It's easy to move victims very quickly and just go, and they're gone. In Houston, it's easy because you've got these highways coming in, and then you've got the port, and they are shipped out of Houston. Okay. So El Paso is quick because a lot of stuff comes, well, we get a lot from Mexico coming into San Antonio, and that's an added situation there. But in El Paso, it is right on the border, and it's on the border of Texas and New Mexico, Arizona, and all of that. I don't know if I said it in the right order. Arizona, New Mexico, then California. Um, I will tell you that I dealt with the Mexican mafia, the New York mafia, the Italian mafia, you name the mafias, I dealt with them. Dealt with them. And they are very connected in this industry. And the sad thing is with the Super Bowl, it's supposed to be a fun family event, but in reality, it's Satan's pit. I do like football. I have watched the Super Bowl since, but it's always heavy because I know that there are thousands and thousands of people, girls, women, majority of the time, who have been brought in to wherever this is happening. And a lot of them will die. I can't tell you how many girls do not come back from a night. Guys will pay, very wealthy people will pay $10,000 a night, but other guys will pay $5,000 a night for a girl. And they pay for unlimited. You got to pay for what you want to do. And if the girl is expendable, and they're never found. I did not know. I learned this in this industry. I did not know that some of the people who are in this for business know people with feral hogs, because hogs will eat everything, bone and all, and nothing of you would be left. Yeah. And these girls, yeah, they're 12 years old and pregnant. Yeah. But there's also women who are like me. I knew one girl that had 8 forced abortions in less than 6 months. I mean, not less than 6 months, but within the 8th month, but they had to do it twice because the first one didn't take, so they go back and get it again. So it could have been 6 to 8 months, but they do it and it was missed abortion and she was still pregnant, so they go back and do it again because they're doing it on the kitchen table. They don't take her to a clinic. They're doing it there on the kitchen table like they did way back in the 20s and 30s. Yep. No. I will tell you the youngest girl I saw, I think was 13. But you got to understand that not every John, we'll call him Johns. Not every John or the owner of that group will deal with the youngs. And a lot of times they all know who. So it was network. They actually would meet and have dinner and talk about the business, talk about who's been rated, talk about all this kind of stuff. These people who own these services, we'll call them the escort services, would meet and get to know others who had these services. Because let me tell you, when you get a call from a prince of somewhere who's coming in 5 days and they want 20 girls for their entourage at such and such a time and such a suite and such a place, they may not have 20 girls. So they're going to call their friend. I'm just going to leave this up for a minute. So, yes, this does not include the children at all. I knew a girl who had twin babies and she was single. Her mother was gone, deceased. Her father, she didn't know where he was, never knew of him. And she willingly worked the business. And those who willingly worked were treated a whole lot nicer. They can come and go home. She went home to her kids every day. But I could not believe that she willingly did this. I think they only had 3 girls in our group that willingly did it at any time. I'm not sure. If you got sick, you had to do it. It didn't matter. It didn't matter how you felt, didn't matter how you looked. You were there, you were on, and it was perform or get hurt or killed. And mm, I don't understand how the industries of sporting events, and I'm not gonna hit knock just the Super Bowl, it's all of them. The Final Four, the Super Bowl. What's the NBA's, final, like, Super Bowl, but for the NBA? The World Series, all of it. It's all of it. It's not just the Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl for me is the hardest. The Super Bowl for me is what I struggle with the most because that's when I was kidnapped into this. No, we're not. We're dogs. We're lower than their dogs. The dogs got treated better than us. If I told you the stuff that I had to go through and what I endured, it would turn your stomach. YouTube would shut me down forever. I kid you not. I've been told to write a book, but I don't because I don't want the bad thing about writing a book is you will get people who want to learn, and I would want this to be used in a way that could educate people who are going into the police department who want to be in this department, educate people going into ministry or counselors who are dealing with this, or people who are in this world to try to save, and they want to hear firsthand and want to learn. I would have no problem writing the book. The problem that stops me with writing the book is number one, it gets the people who also can buy it are the ones who get off on it. And I don't want to give them ideas of what they can do when they buy their next girl. I don't want to perpetuate it. Will I watch the Super Bowl tomorrow? I don't know. All I know is my sister's not here. She always called me and kept me going. She always made sure I was okay. And this is the first time she's not here. And if it wasn't okay, it was okay. Well, let's go do something. What do we need to do? So there's nobody else. Nobody gets it. If I had all the money in the world and I could afford it, I would sit there and go on a cruise somewhere, get myself far away from here. But I don't have that freedom. I don't have that luxury. I can barely, I'm barely keeping the internet on, the electric. I'm like everybody else in this world. I mean, I'm not well off. I'm not. And the other thing people don't understand is the physical damage that is done to that poor body. It may not show up that year, but I've had more hairline fractures in my hips. I'm in a wheelchair part of the time because arthritis is set in where all that damage was done. Luckily, I don't have AIDS. Luckily, I don't have major diseases because I was the special girl. I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink. I didn't participate in those things were done to me, but God protected me. That's the only way I can understand how I came out of that without being an addict or oh God, thank you, Dawn. I didn't expect any of that tonight. Thank you. I don't know how. And I thought for years afterwards, whew, but now I'm paying the price. That's why sometimes people don't understand in my hometown. There are days I can walk and there are days that it's hard. Um, when you get hit in the ear, you can rupture eardrums. I've had them ruptured, and that could be part of my hearing loss. I had PTSD for so long and so bad that I couldn't leave my house without being with a human being. I know that there are some UT content creators have support streams up with the community to be with so they're not alone. I know that I would, and I'm here for you. Well, thank you so much. But I was telling you about the good things. I have now worked with a lot of girls who've come out of what I've survived. And I'm that 0.001%, and I tell them, "You can be here too." The bad thing is that the girls that are rescued sometimes are so brainwashed, so damaged emotionally that they go back because they believe if they don't go back, they'll find them somewhere. I mean, the girl could be in Alaska, she was trafficked in Florida, and they can move her to Alaska, and she still thinks that the guy's gonna come find her and kill her, so if she goes back, he won't kill her. Oh, he was. He was. I have a lot of medical issues because of what happened to me. And I wish there could be a law passed that if you are rescued from that situation, you're truly, you're a true victim and not somebody just hollering to be a victim so they don't get in trouble, but you're a true victim. That your health condition, your health care is free for the rest of your life. That stems from that situation because it's horrible. I was put on disability because I had PTSD so bad that I could not function in public alone. I had to be with a person. I could go from my house to my friend's house in the car, and she and I would go together shopping. If I was standing in line at the grocery store and a man walked up behind me and he had a cologne on that, someone wore that might trigger me into a dissociate, I would just dissociate. If, I saw someone that looked like somebody I remembered, I'd just dissociate. It was so bad. And luckily, I've been through a lot of healing. I've worked hard on myself. I still have PTSD. I still have struggles, but I'm alive. The other thing that is very high and runs rampant in this horrible industry is self-unaliving. So many girls, even the ones that get saved or get away, within the first 5 years are 90% chance of self-unaliving. There's not enough help out there. And the thing is that there's no help out there. You got these guys who were ex-addicts. They're addicts who are paying for this like a drug, and there's really no help out there. It's not being treated like an illness. Ex-addicts, it's an illness. I don't care how you slice it, I lived it. Some of these guys physically have to have it. It's horrible. Yep. And as I said in the beginning, if you look at the statistics and you read about, is it really true that the Super Bowl and all these big sporting events elevate the ex trafficking? Yes, it is true. But you have all these people who have PhDs and do all these research saying, no, not really. I mean, it doesn't really. I'm like, bullshit. Your information is only as good as the questions you ask and those who are willing to honestly answer your questions. And you can't go based on the arrest. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, well, we only had 120 arrests this year. Last year we had 130. It's decreasing." No, those were just the ones you caught. The ramp up for these big events happens a month or 2 before they even start, before the event happens. It's true. And people can sit here and argue with me all they want, and I'm gonna tell you, until you lived a year and aught months in the situation I lived in, then you can come talk to me about it. If you wanna talk to me about it and get facts, I'll be happy to share it with you. But I gotta tell you, you ain't gonna like what you're gonna hear. According to your workplace, human trafficking training, major sporting events are high on the list. I don't know where you work, but thank you God somebody got it right. Because if you Google right now, 80% of it's gonna say, no, it's not an elevation. It doesn't elevate it, or it's unknown. It's That's BS. It elevates it. And they're only looking at the day of the event. What they don't realize, it elevates up to a week before the event and 2 to 3 days after the event. It does. Dawn, thank you so very much. I mean that with all my heart. Thank you. Um, I don't get a whole lot of super chats and things, so thank you so much. I paid the computer bill, the internet bill for today. But that's another thing. There's not funding out there. There's nowhere I could have gone to get counseling that I didn't have to pay for. You have a hard time believing stats because a lot of it is garbage, garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. And like I said, I took a class about stats and records and research. That's what it was. in criminal justice and just last semester. And for those of you who don't know, I am going to college to get my bachelor's, but I want to get a PhD dealing with criminal justice or a law degree, probably PhD at my age. But anyway, um, that was one of the things is I had to write a paper on. And the reality is your information is only as good as your pool. Who did you ask and how many? I never got interviewed. Nobody asked my opinion. Nobody asked me to say, "Hey, tell us." I testified against these people, multiple people, a lot of people. Um, been at risk a couple of times for my safety. You're welcome, Cindy. The thing is even if you had 1,000 people, officers, National Guard, military, FBI, ICE, whatever, at that game, there are gonna be 3 times that amount of people that are gonna get away with it. You can't catch them all. The problem is they're trying to end human trafficking by closing down the businesses. The only way I see to end human trafficking is take care of and end the guys who are paying for it should get in more trouble than the one who's selling it. I'm sorry, that's my humble opinion. As a survivor, if the demand isn't out there, the supply won't be out there. By the way, for those who are just hopping on, when I was abducted, I was 27 years old, about 105 at max, 110 pounds. Without makeup on, I could look like I'm 17, 18. I could look very young. This was me at 27. That's what I looked like at the age of 27. That picture was taken in about the time I met this guy. I I Yep, about the time I met this guy, that picture was taken. It's not the best of picture. Actually, I need to take that picture and put it in the program and have it, clean it up for me. But that was me, long time ago, very long time ago. And like I said, y'all can ask me questions. It's okay if you do. I'm okay with that. I have no problem. If it's something I can't answer, I will tell you that. Other than that, no, that wasn't a glamour shot, although I did work for Glamour Shot. I took that picture of myself in my home. I was a professional photographer for a while. I used to train the Glamour Shot, photographers and makeup artists. My bangs are driving me crazy. Let's see if I can just there we go. I trained them. I used to, yes, I used to work at Glamour Shots, but that I was my own photographer and I learned a whole lot and I love photography. I will tell you there was one occasion where I was photographing an event and unfortunately I ran across someone who was being trafficked and by the time I could find somebody to try to get them help, they were gone. And that's the other problem. The other problem is that the problem is finding finding when you find somebody that's in that position, then you turn around and then they're gone when you get help. They move so fast. It's very, very difficult to rescue somebody if you're not in the authority like this guy was that saved me, um, because a lot of times they're gone and there's nothing you can do. The thing that upsets me, I'm cleaning up that image, by the way, it drove me crazy. I had to fix it. Um, the thing that drives me crazy, honestly, is that they have no idea how many people actually die in this industry, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. I don't get it. The mentality, "Oh, she's an S worker, she deserves it, or he deserves it." You know, a lot of those times they can't get out of it. So tomorrow I will be in prayer. Too many disappear. I will spend part of my day tomorrow in prayer for those who were where I was. I wish I could save them all. I can't save any of them. So we're going to talk for a minute about what to look for. Um, hold on. I had it up. There are clues and some things that you can look for. Number 1 is the tattoo. Um, the tattoo is a very good identifier. Um, I didn't have tattoos, not all of them will tattoo, for 2 reasons. Number 1, if they tattoo, um, then, um, well, they're identifiable and they don't you don't you know, they don't wanna be identified. So number 1 is, so it's a risk to, tattoo somebody with your stamp. Um, that's gonna be interesting to see how that works out, but that is a true thing. They do tattoo them a lot of times behind the ears, a lot of them are on the back of the neck. A lot of times those tattoos can look like a barcode, they can look like a name, someone's name, a gang sign. Um, that's not what I wanted. But some of the ways to identify is if they are being highly controlled by a man in a public place. Sensei, I know, go. Um, if they indicators, that's what I'm looking for. No. Does the person appear to be disconnected from their family, friends, community organizations, or worship? That was something that I wish somebody would notice with me because other than my singing group, I was disconnected from everybody. He knew not to totally remove me from where I was because the people I was with, because it would bring out more more concern, bring more attention to me. And he didn't want me having any of that attention at all. They don't want to bring attention to their victims or where they are. They took over my apartment, created it as a home base, and then they expanded it to the apartment next door. And they do that for up to about a year, and then they move. This is how he did it. He didn't operate anything out of his own personal property. Kept him a little cleaner that way. But that was a big one. Well, if it's a child, they've stopped attending school. Watch the behavior. If a guy touches a girl and she's very reactionary, um, say you're at McDonald's and you're standing in line and you've got a guy and a girl, she's dressed real seductively or really just doesn't look right. She looks very disheveled and uncared for a lot of times. Those are working girls who just came from a place and they're getting them something to eat. They just came from a job. And he touches her and he goes like that, and she's like very overreactionary. That is a big clue. Um, changes, if you have somebody in your life that's had changes in their behavior, um, definitely keep an eye on them. Uh, if you see a young person that is overly enamored with a, hold on, oh, okay, next week. My teacher told me my midterms next week. The person is disoriented or confused, showing signs of mental or physical abuse. A lot of times, these girls, if you're in the bathroom and you can kind of see them trying to bathe up in a bathroom, um, or you say hi and they're just kind of, "Mm," you know, out of norm, that's a sign. Um, let's see, what is that? I feel so fortunate. Wow. No, your age doesn't have your age. It doesn't matter. You can be 80 years old. A street older women living on the street, what you don't realize is a lot of older women living on the street, oh my gosh, they are forced to do films, Granny X films. I kid you not. Young guys with these old ladies, no teeth. I mean, I kid you not, it's very perverted, but it's out there. Um, uh, fearful, timid, very submissive to a guy. Um, does a person show signs of having been denied food, water, sleep, or medical care? Yeah, that's one of the things they do. Also, these girls, if you see a girl in the bathroom, you say, "Hey, how are you? Oh, don't you look cute today?" Or whatever, you try to strike up a conversation because you're not sure something's going on. I'm fine. I'm just fine. Let me tell you, I'm having the best day. They are taught to say certain things. I'm trying to remember what I was taught. It's so long ago. I would avoid conversation, honestly. If I was in public, I was super avoidant of any and all conversation. People who know me now and some people who know me then say, I have a big mouth, I talk a lot. I tell everything. How in the world would you not have told that? Once again, for those who are just joining, I was kidnapped on Super Bowl Sunday into ST. And I'm talking about that to bring awareness. And my thing is that I don't care how vocal, how outgoing a person is, when they believe, and that's the key, when they are at a point of belief that their family, loved ones are going to be unalived if they say anything, including themselves, they are brainwashed, and I was. Does a person lack personal possessions? That's a big key, huge key. Um, and do they have freedom of movement? That was a good sign for me. Was not a good sign. It appeared that I had freedom from movement, but what people didn't realize is that I had a car behind me. When I went to my, singing group class, practice and rehearsals, I acted fine, everything was fine, nobody knew because he was sitting out there and he had a lead shooter sitting right on his hip, and back then, lead shooters were carried by a lot of people illegally. Oh, I gotta get my glasses on. Oh, that fan is drying out. I have dry eyes from RA, and the fan doesn't help. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care how old you are, you can become a victim. We're all 1 minute away from being a victim. And what's sad is that I do enjoy football games. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, don't kill me. I grew up hardcore Dallas Cowboy fan, okay? You don't like them, fine. But tomorrow is a hard day. I don't celebrate the date like the 22nd of January every year. For me, it's the day that the game is held that is a big memory for me. Fortunately, after over a year, I made a nano split second decision to trust somebody because they trusted what I said was true. I had to all but prove it, but he gave me the benefit of the doubt, and I'm alive. I don't hey, I knew Tom Landry. I met him with the Billy Graham Crusade when he used to do the men's events at the Billy Graham Crusade, and I was a Billy Graham Crusade photographer in the '90s, and I spent a lot of time with Tom Landry. I love Tom Landry, but let me tell you something. You need to forgive because Tom Landry forgave, and in the end, it was better for him to go than to live in Satan's pit. That's what he said. I was abiding in Satan's pit, and for me, it was healthier and better for me not to be there. I love the team, I love the guys, but ev every good thing comes to an end, and it was time. He was a very good guy. Yeah, 49ers. Hey, tomorrow, I would love for it to be a fun game. Everybody gives their all, and who wins, wins gracefully and rightfully, and it's a fair fought game. Will I be able to watch it? I don't know. Some years, if I'm with my people that I'm safe with, like my sister, I can. Do I have my moments? Yes. But I'm trying so hard to not allow what happened to me on that one day ruin it for the rest of my life. I'm wearing pink today and I'll wear it tomorrow for all those beautiful souls who are going through what I went through. Super Bowl is not the and I want you to hear me. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'm not blaming the Super Bowl for what is gonna happen. Well, that's happening right now. It's happening tonight. It's happening for the last couple of days, but tonight and tomorrow night are hell nights for these girls and guys. Hell night. I mean, you could I've known girls, and I won't say if it was me or not, but I have known people who have survived 20 men in one night. One night. So hold your daughters close. Teach your children to pay attention to the world and get off the devices when they're walking around outside. That's fair. We have gotten into the world of this, and that creates far more victims because one thing they're looking for are people who aren't paying attention to their surroundings. If you're walking and you see a guy coming up and you got that uncomfortable feeling in your gut, pay attention. But the number one thing you can do is stare him down, look at him in the eye, acknowledge him because they don't want you to remember them when they pass you. Because if they grab you and try to do something to you, you didn't pay attention to this. You won't be able to identify. Get your phones, put them in your purse or pocket, look at the world around you, acknowledge the people around you, walk with your back straight, your head up, your chin parallel to the ground, and say, "Hi, I see you." That is how you can help prevent this. And when you were dating somebody, mine was the Romeo effect. I dated a guy for a while, no idea he was the owner of this organization. Wined and dined me. I thought he may be the one. I didn't know. Ain't that the truth? I'm sitting here telling you, if you're dating someone, don't go to a party where you don't know a single soul. Go to a public restaurant. Don't go to a house. You research that person. There is nothing wrong with looking to see if they're on the offender list. There's nothing wrong with doing a soft background check on them because most of the time they have arrest records. There's nothing wrong in him saying, "Oh, he told me he was in contracting." I said, "So where do you work?" "Oh, we have a contract, we work with the city, so we work all over the city." "Oh, okay." He goes, "I never know from day to day what road I'm gonna be working on." I naively believed him. Maybe I should have dug a little bit, but back then in 1997, it wasn't what it is now. Not as easy as it is now. Pay that $50 and do a background check on them. See if what they're telling you is true. Same for your kids. If they're dating somebody and you have a check in your system, do it. If if they find out you did it and they get mad at you, so be it. Question: how would local and county police do what? Not sure I'm following you there. But I will tell you, you can go online and get background checks on people without involving yourself with the police. And a lot of county websites, including my county, they have a website where you can pull up arrest records on people. Oh, like in my county, you can Google public arrest records and things. There's a lot of places, websites, pay 20 bucks, get a membership for 7 days and delete it. It'll pull up every address they've lived, it'll pull up arrest records, it'll pull up their phone numbers, it'll pull up everything. We need to protect our kids, we need to protect yourself too. Yes, they are. And there's a thing on Facebook that I couldn't believe it was there. Let's see if I can pull it up. Um, and I love it because it shows everybody in our county that's been arrested. See if I can pull it up. Now that I'm looking for it, it won't pull up. Oh, here it is. Busted newspaper. This is where I live. I'm gonna share this screen. Um, the busted newspaper is great because I'm gonna put me over here. Look, I can sit here and scroll down. You can do busted newspaper for whatever county you live in, and you can click on the mugshot, and I don't care. It's public. I'm not gonna give her her name, but driving while intoxicated. You can pull, and I'm gonna pull this down real quick. I'm not gonna keep it up there. But you can and should look things up, people. Drawback, they never would leave, they never come back. Mm, yeah. Jailbirds. But the biggest thing is, and I hate to say this, I don't blame the sporting events. And in fact, they actually have a task force at the Super Bowl and these sporting events that are on the lookout for exploited missing children. They do some, I guess, face identifiers. They have police officers there. They are doing it. The people to blame are the owners of these businesses who are providing these services for the men who are willing to pay for it. And guess what, ladies? They're your husbands. Mhm. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be mean. Know your husbands. If they say the guys and I are getting together to go to the Super Bowl or the Final Four or the World Series, you better know who they're going with because I guarantee you those good old boy Christian men go to church every Sunday, non-Christians but are home every Sunday are the ones that get out there, get drunk, and they do something stupid and they hire girls. You gotta start at home. Allowing explicit pictures in magazines and, um, P blank horn on your computer at home, allowing them to do it, thinking it's a natural thing for men to do, dishonors you in the marriage. But it opens the door for when they go out, they wanna go to the clubs, and then temptation is there. There's not a man that's above it. Not a man that's above it. I've lived it, I've seen it, I can preach it. So, what you allow in your home and you allow your husband to do can affect whether or not they are partaking in this. You have no idea the stories I hear about men say, if my wife ever found out, she'd kill me. But you know what? My wife can't anymore, or I'm bored. And it's not the wife's fault. I'm not saying it's your fault, ladies. But what I am saying is making sure that you are paying attention to what's happening in your home. And if you're comfortable with allowing the horn in your house, are you comfortable allowing them to go out to clubs or go out to a hotel and call a girl to come service them? It's only one phone call away. And I'm sorry, reality check here. Have a discussion with your husband. Hey, honey, I trust you. I don't trust them. So if you go to this event like the World Series with your best buds, have a blast. I bless you. But if anything starts to happen along this line, you get your ass out of there and you call me and you come home. And I won't question you. We have to take responsibility for ourselves and educate those around us. I feel bad for the Super Bowl people because they get blamed for this and it's not them. It does depend on the men. But the conversation, if you have a man that's sitting there and you walk into the house and he's looking on the computer and doing that little thing, and you walk in and you think it's all right, well, guess what it leads to? I'm not going to get in your bedroom, but I want you to have your eyes open. That's what tonight's about. Tonight for me is getting it out there. Reality check. Yeah, it's an addiction. See, it starts off innocent. And this is the way I tell people. Back in the day, 70s, 80s, men had Playboy magazines in the bathroom, hidden sometimes in amongst the women's, or they have it hidden. Then the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old boy finds it, doesn't tell anybody he finds it, but he's looking at it. And then he matures and then he realizes, oh, this and this is fun. Nobody knows it, but it's in the house. And now computers came into the world. See, before computers, it was just a magazine and maybe a peep show. Now computers are in the world. So now they can sit in the privacy of their bedroom on their phone. Digital age. And you are not the wiser. And then they go out and they become men. They go to college and then they start realizing, oh, mommy and daddy sends me $300 a month for whatever's. I can pay 150 over here and have a happy ending night. They won't know. And then it snowballs and it snowballs and they pay for more and pay for more. And eventually it can go into CP. Then they end up in jail. They could be lawyers, doctors, judges, presidents. Not really that the president's doing that, but they can be anything. It's not the sick-minded people. They're smart people doing it. People you never would have thought. And now they go to these games and they do it there. But where's the root of the problem? The root of the problem is the magazine under the sink in the bathroom. That is where it starts, ladies and gentlemen. I heard the stories over and over again. Maybe I should write a book. One thing leads to the other. And if you are with somebody and you're going to get married and you know that they like that kind of stuff, well, it may be fun at first, but it gets very wearing and tiring and gets to the point that don't want to do it anymore or it's boring. Guess what? They are going to push you to do more and more, or they're going to go find somebody else who will. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm being real. I heard so many times, I would ask them some, "Why are you doing this? You seem like a good guy. Why are you doing this?" And they would tell me why. And I would tell them, "You can't blame your wife." Sometimes it was the wife's fault. She was stepping out, but you know what I mean? Uh, no, not in this one. Thank you so much, Lotus Spider 7. Um, I have had it on my heart to write a book. Um, but the problem is there would have and it was I saw this image of the book and there was a middle section that had a special sticker around it and it had a warning. Do not read this section if it will trigger you because it gets explicit. And so people would have a choice, but I don't know. I don't know if I ever will. Um, I'm still at a point that this guy is still alive. I know for a fact that I have been searched for twice for sure. I know that some people may watch this and question what I'm saying to be real or not. Some may think I'm exaggerating it. For those of you who feel that way, you're one of two people. Number one, you don't want to accept reality, or number two, you have lived your life with the head in the sand. And congratulations. But I can terrify you with what I could tell you. It's horrible what people do. And here's the sad thing, women are just as bad as men, especially women who like women. Yes, they hire too. They're not above it either. And the sad thing is that remember for those of you who weren't here at the beginning of my story, I was dating a guy. We were at that point where we wanted to start getting to know each other's friends. And Super Bowl was coming, and we were talking about doing a gathering, and I said, "My apartment" stupid me, "my apartment is 1,200 square foot, huge living room, 2 bedroom, 2 bath." It was a perfect place to have 5 or 6, even I could have had 15 over there. So, 4 men and a woman, including my boyfriend at the time, were there. Everything was great, had the spread, hoot and hollered. Halftime came. One of the guys went into the public bathroom. The girl came to me and said, "I gotta go, but someone's in the bathroom. Can I use yours in the bedroom?" I said, "Sure, let me show you which one," because I had 2 bedrooms. "Let me show you where it is." And as soon as I got in that bedroom, that girl and the other guys attacked me, and that was my initiation into this industry. And for a majority of my time, handcuffed to the bed at night, or somebody else for a very long time, until I was so washed. I call it just being washed, that I was a walking zombie. I stopped fighting because I didn't think I was worth fighting for. I was not worth fighting for. And now I'm more the opposite, now that I'm deaf with a service dog and disabled and sometimes I get to fighting a little too much because I didn't fight enough back then. Wow, that's a true statement. Yes, they can. Oh, yes, they can. What's worse is when you get a man and a woman that are equally as mean. Let's see, Melanie Lewis, breath of fresh air being here. I am so fired up right now from another channel. I love you, Ada. Well, thank you. I don't know what got you fired up. I don't know what's happening. I didn't think this would be a breath of fresh air conversation. Please like and subscribe. The best way you guys can help me is to get me to 3,000. I'm about 105 away from 3,000 subs. This is a new channel. We are working very hard. We normally do court commentating, uh, real trial. Um, I thank you for being sorry. Don't let it become you. Don't allow yourself to get so comfortable in your marriage that you don't oops, didn't mean to do that. Hold on. My computer just did something. Oh, my mic hit a button. Don't think that this can't happen to you or your child, even your husband. Men get kidnapped all the time. Tomorrow's going to be a hard day for me if I choose for it to be a hard day. There will be moments. I chose this year, instead of sitting at home dwelling on tomorrow and thinking about what happened to me, to risk myself. Oh, don't want to do that. To risk my channel and myself to come here tonight and share this with you. I am a survivor of ST. There are a lot of people who don't survive. I was once told statistically I was 0.001%. Let's see. 18 years survivor. I didn't unalive myself, although there was times I was tempted. Health issues that have arose from this have tried to end me. Thank God it didn't. I have done everything I can to take care of me. And God has led me into a wonderful ministry taking care of other women who are coming out of this. Just Thursday night, I was with my mom at a meeting, and I got a call that there's a person coming out of ST that her mother was selling her to men. Moms can do it too. They become madams. Their own child. She'll be talking to me soon, I hope. If that's my calling, I'm happy to do it. But we have got to start with our young boys. If you don't want to see this continue to grow and you have a son, educate him. Get the dirty magazines and the images out of the house. Educate him what happens, how it affects his brain. Educate him on how it is. Would he want someone looking like that as his sister or his mother? I got to tell you, I'm sure there are videos and pictures of me still floating around because there was a lot taken. And with the internet and the way it was back then, it was in the new stages back then. As far as this industry, it wouldn't be surprising if somebody ran across a picture of me. Probably wouldn't recognize me, but that's not the point. Once it's out there in the internet, it's forever out there. Once your child and husband or you, women become addicted to, and you see that image, it's forever in your brain. You cannot unsee it. 18 years, I appreciate the sharing, even though I'm filled with so many emotions, crying, and anxiety. 18 years. Are you a survivor or are you talking about me? I don't want you, floor 4, if you have to step away from this, it's fine. My burner phone and email, you can find that out if you need to get a hold of me. Here's my burner phone. By the way, do not call me unless it's an emergency or you need to talk. I'm not trying to be mean, but this is my burner phone, and if I'm capable, I will answer it. But if you need help and you are a bad place, you need to call 911 or you need to call this number and they can get a hold of them. Oh, my 18 years, yeah. 28 years. Sorry, my bad. Bad math. Dyslexia, 28 years. Sorry. I wish I was 43 again. I keep forgetting I'm turning 44 in a month. Sorry about that. It is 28 years. It's hard to do this and think in math and be dyslexic. I am literally. I purposely changed so I wouldn't be compared to somebody tonight. But do me a favor. Wear pink tomorrow in honor of all those souls who hadn't survived. And for those who have. I know some of us will have people over. Some of y'all will have family and sit in front of the game and watch the football game and enjoy it. Because the game itself is not the problem. I wish 1997 was only 18 years ago. God, do me. I do too. Exactly. And it's not just about touch. It's words. It's grooming. Grooming doesn't always have to be touch. It's how they're talked to. It's what they're put in their minds. That's why I love the movie The Help. And if you've not seen it, God, y'all got to see it. It is so funny and so real. So real, but funny. And there's an opening scene where there is a black maid who's taking care of a white little girl. And she teaches her these phrases. And I'm saying it just like her. Use kind, use smart, use important. Teach your kids they're important. And that includes what goes into their minds. Everything is behind the scenes. Everything. But if you have a teenage child, maybe you need to use this event as a gateway into educating them. Girls especially. Boys are taken too. It's different for boys. I didn't deal with the boys. I didn't see that side of it. Wouldn't have changed anything for me. Puppy bowl! Oh gosh, yes. It's so cute. But guys, love yourselves enough to take care of yourself. Love your children enough to teach them. Don't hide the horrors of life. There's time and a place to educate them. I did my daughter. At a certain age, she was a teenager. She was in high school. She was going into high school. Or was it 8th grade? That age, 8th, 9th grade. I sat down and had a talk and I said, I need to tell you something. Mommy's a victim. I didn't give any glory detail. I didn't get horrific. I kept it at a professional, clinical level to where she understood. And that's when I said, that's why I do this with you. But you're growing up and you're going out in the world, and I'm not going to be able to be there to protect you. So I need to teach you how to protect yourself. You got to have these talks with your children. And it needs to be agreed upon with you and your partner, whether you're married or not, whether you're the same sex or not, it doesn't matter. You need to agree not to have certain things in the house. You need to agree to keep their minds and their bodies pure for as long as they can. Because it breeds these animals that do this to people. They're the animals. And they're getting rich off of it. The example is this. Back in my day, and it's not, depending on where you are, it's still somewhat the same. A full service for an hour starts at 150. Starts at 150. Super Bowl, World Series, the Final Four. What is the basketball final game? Playoffs, whatever. all of these big events, Olympics, all of them, it can start off at 500 to 1,000 an hour for the same thing. And a lot of times they will say, "Oh, that's too much. Okay, you've got 30 minutes for 500." And they will have that girl lined up in that same room all night long, one after another, revolving wheel, not even enough time to clean. Pray for healing, pray for protection for these girls, these 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 poor girls who are getting God knows what diseases, and a lot of them will get knocked up. But here's the other thing. One thing that they have now that they didn't have back then is the night after pill. It's my understand my mic is getting loose, sorry. It's my understanding that that night after pill has changed the industry. It's awareness. Some people will believe my story. Some people call me bullshit. I don't care. I lived it. I know what I went through. Even if someone says, "Well, you," even if I was a willing participant in the beginning and couldn't get out, that's what we go from exploitation into trafficking. There are girls that get into this because I think, "Oh, it's just a date. It's just this. It's just that. It's quick money. Then I can go home and no one will know." Some of you never come home. A lot of them never come home. Yeah. And that's why I struggle this time of year. Those of you who've been watching my Facebook channel the last couple of days, I've been beating a lot, and I may have seen a little more tired and distant. It's because of this. Because it weighs on me because I know what's coming. It's all over the news. It's all over the commercials. I can't get away from seeing it, and it is hard. It's hard. It is very hard. And I try to fill my time with things to keep me, busy, keep me distracted. I don't wanna be alone with my thoughts. So this year, I'm taking charge. I'm in a place now that I'm gonna take charge. And tonight, I don't know if anybody will watch this. I don't know what will happen with this. As of I'm pulling it up. I've only had 112 views. That's sad. With the title like that, The Dark Side of the NFL, I thought I'd have more, but that's okay. If I can reach 112 people, I'm happy. I hope you enjoy tomorrow's game. I don't know what I'll do, and it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if I go for a walk, watch the game, it doesn't matter what I do. But anytime you watch a big sporting event, do me a favor. Take a minute to think about what's going on. Take a minute to think about those poor souls, male, female, young and old, who are forced to be doing things and being places that they don't want to be. And some of them will never make it back home. Ever. There are a lot of people who've never made it home. There are a lot of families out there, mothers and fathers, who don't know what happened to their girls or sons. A lot of parents lose their children. A lot of brothers and sisters lose their siblings. They have no clue. And honestly, it's better off that they don't know. Thank God I lived. Thank God I'm here. Thank God I have a voice. This year, I have something I didn't have last year. I am willing to risk myself if it saves one. Love me, hate me. I don't care. Believe me, not believe me, I don't care. I made you think. You listened. If you need to have a talk with your husband, have that talk. And the other thing is, I can't wait to see if they leave up for those of you who don't know, I'm deaf without my hearing aids. I am fully deaf. And every year they have a very popular, famous deaf person sign the national anthem. And you see them for a few seconds and then they close in on the lead performer. They don't do the window and window. So I'm anxious I wanna know if that happens. I always wanna know. And I think maybe next year, we'll see. I do know that there's a place I saved the link in my phone that I can go to watch, and there will be interpretation. Yes. Please like and share this channel. Click the bell. We've got a trial that we're watching 2 trials that are starting back Monday again. One was on for today because the jury sequestered. We have 2 trials on Monday and Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, one trial is off, the other one is on, so we'll just see what happens, but, um, thank you again so much, Dawn. Thank you. I may use that money and go have a nice meal tomorrow. Go get me something to eat. Although I haven't been eating much lately. I think I'm down right at 30 pounds. So that's good. But I hope I didn't spoil your Super Bowl day and enjoy it with my blessing because the Super Bowl in and of itself is not bad. Everything that wraps around it, some of that is very dark. And just wish there's a way we could stop it. And it starts here. It starts in your home and it starts with you. So I'm going to go hug my kid. My son is here. He's in the office next to you. Yeah. Do you know what? I was thinking, what did I eat today? I think I had a couple Girl Scout cookies and a cup of cottage cheese. So I don't know. I'll go get me something to eat. It's been a long day. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being kind to me while I share this horrible experience. I'm very grateful, and I know that God's the only reason why I survived. And it doesn't matter what you believe, it's what I believe, because I should be dead more than one time over. And I'm here. And I hope the new people here will come back and give us another visit. This is a safe place. We don't put up with anything negative and bullying here. We take care of you here. This is a safe place for you to be you. If you need to talk, you need to share in our Discord. I don't know if it's still there. If not, we need to get it back up there. I had a place where people could come in and it was like more like mental health. Come in and just share. I may have to talk to Armand about that and get that back up because we just revamped the whole thing. Oh, well, thank you, Mandy D. By the way, my birth name was Mandy. I think I told you that before. Yes, please go to our Discord. If it's not there, we'll get it back up. But we are not trained professionals. Don't be afraid to reach out, but don't be afraid to go get help when you need help. There is healing. I'm telling you, there's healing. You just got to reach out and grab it and do the work. Oh, well, thank you, Flora. I haven't heard from her back. I tried emailing her and I haven't heard back from her, but I love her. She's fabulous. I had a great time with her. By the way, Tuesday night, we have a special guest. It's a young man who ended up going to prison. He's going to be physically live with me here. That's going to be interesting. We're going to have to figure out logistics. But he used to be in prison and he's going to be here and share his experiences. Y'all can ask questions because we have a lot of people in prison, like Boone and other people that are in prison. And what happens in the men's usually parallels what happens in the women's prisons, with the exception of keeping a baby and having a baby while you're in prison. But he's going to be here Tuesday night. I hope to have y'all come. Let's have a good showing. and he's going to start learning how to do some of this. He's got a testimony and thing he wants to share. I told him I'd help him out. So, with that, I'm going to say a blessing. Lord bless you and keep you. May you have wisdom to know when and how to talk to your family members about these hard subjects. And I hope that you will. I hope tomorrow you will take a moment to pray. If you pray, if not, good vibes, if not, meditate, whatever you do. But just remember, it is a living hell for some people tomorrow. And be grateful that you and your family are not in that position. It is 1 minute, one decision away from that happening to you or your family. The first love was an ex-con. Yep. Well, my ex-husband went to jail. Prison, I'm sorry, he went to prison. And that's how I got into YouTubing. I was doing something called The Jail Widow and talking about the life of a jail widow, and there's no advice for women who or men who lose their spouses to prison, and how do you do this, and how do you do that, and what to expect, and how do you handle kids in jail and all of that. And this kind of evolved into this. But I'm gonna start doing some more Jail Widow. I'm gonna start doing that. So, I'm gonna say good night. I will let you know Monday how it goes tomorrow. Worst case scenario, I just bead and sew and make ribbon skirts and listen to native music and worship music and maybe watch powwow. I don't know. God only knows what I'll do tomorrow. I may watch the game. We'll see. Okay. Thank you for allowing me to do this. This is not something I really wanted to do. I'll be honest. My sister's husband brought this idea up, and I felt it was right to do. And I'm glad I did. But I will ask if I'm a little off next week. Be very gracious and be very kind to me if I'm not my usual self. But I'm going to go get my son and let's go have dinner. That's what I need. I need to spend time with him. Thank you and take care, all. You're welcome. I appreciate you. Share this. Share this with your girlfriends. Send this video to people. They need to know. Mamas need to know. Because how can we protect them if we don't know? We got to know. And a lot of us don't have a clue. Knowing is power. How could we help anybody? Is giving him the knowledge and the power to make the decisions and to be able to notice and be able to be aware of what's happening. Remember, walk with your head up, put the phones away, and look at people as they pass you. Take note. Say hello to people that you think is uncomfortable. Make yourself bigger than you are, taller than you are, and more confident than you are. You are 100 times less likely to become a victim. Okay. Blessings. Good night. Love yourself. Love your family. We'll see you Monday. Thanks again. Bye. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. I hope you have an awesome day. Till next time, take care.